terms of the situation right now, production-wise, we are at the level of putting down bass and drums. I've done all my guitars, I've done all my vocals, mostly. And at this level, we're just putting bass on a couple of tracks and drums on a couple of tracks. So it's still at a very basic stage, but we've done 7 tracks here now, this session. First session we did 5 songs, so now we have 12 songs. And yeah, it's just drums and bass right now. The producer, Kareem, is he's a drummer. Comes from hip-hop, I guess, hip-hop world, with a bit of jazz in there. He's a young guy. He's very cool, very mellow. He works with people like Madlib, Peanut Butter Wolf. He comes from that whole school. Even Jay Dilla, I think, he worked with him. So it's been pretty cool. He's very mellow. He's very hands-off producer in the sense that, you know, he allows me to lay down my vibe first, guitar and voice, and we get the right version. It's hands-off in the sense that that's the area where I need the most concentration. So he's pretty good with that. And then he gives me advice on structure. Sometimes he gives me advice on redoing guitars in terms of timing and stuff like that. But he's very cool in terms of production-wise. He's a very cool personality. And then he knows a lot of musicians, so generally, you know, rely on him to bring in some good other instruments.
Through me, I have a lot of jazz influence, and I came up, that was like my upbringing. And I also do a lot of hip-hop, so I fuse a lot of soul with hip-hop rhythms mixed with jazz, you know. So it's like it's a fusion. And with his style together, it's colorful, you know.
Well, he brings a kind of he knows fella and he knows hip-hop, so he's bringing this kind of angle of like Afro, but it's like contemporary sounding, the way he plays the drums. And our sensibilities mix quite well together because I'm a guitarist and I'm quite rhythmic, and he's a drummer, so we tend to relate on that level. And we share the fella, the funkadelic, I don't know too much hip-hop, but he knows the hip-hop world, and we blend those two elements, sensibilities together. And so far so good. I mean, 12 songs, we've done a lot of kind of Afro-type funk kind of music.
As a songwriter, I love that he feels free. You know, it's not one structure or one thing, it's free. You know what I'm saying? And his songwriting is beautiful. He speaks a lot about love, you know, and that's what I'm about. You know, it's a lot of love in his music.
Something different because, you know, Keziah Jones' record is always different. Every album, I always try to come out with something else, and that is a result of working with people, crossing influences and stuff. I mean, you'll have to see because this album, it's got a lot of directions it could go. But I think this one we've been doing, this acoustic funk Afro thing, is quite interesting with Kareem. So I hope it's going to be functional. Electric Lady Session is basically a very different vibe from this. That's New York. That's like the whole craziness of being in New York. That's Electric Lady Studio, the kind of intensity of that particular studio. That's Russell Elevado, who I know really well. He's a friend and he's crazy as well. So the two of us together in Electric Lady, open-ended commitment was quite intense. And what we did, the music was very, you know, a lot more aggressive, I think. A lot more abstract and a lot more unusual kind of structures and stuff like that. I think that's another whole thing, and I'm trying to, the album will be a blend of the two things. So basically, I looked to Electric Lady Sessions for more funk and hard, aggressive music, and this for more kind of warm, organic, rich, you know, sounds. Man, I've always been quite rootless, I think, in my life, since I've been very small, so I've always been moving around, I've always been traveling. So I take advantage of that fact because, you know, wherever you are, you always have to relate to the people there, whether it's a different language or different sensibility or, you know, different values. So I've been able to adapt from a very young age, and with music, basically that means that I absorb whatever environment I'm in quite quickly, and I turn it into sound. When I'm in Nigeria, obviously I write kind of more Yoruba songs, religious type of musics, rugged kind of concept. When I'm in New York, I'm a foreigner, but at the same time, I'm a black, but then the black American culture, African culture, I try to see similarities. In cities, New York City, Lagos City, similarities and differences. In France, in Paris, I'm there a lot, so that's a whole nother sensibility. Each place is different, and my job is to be able to adapt myself to wherever I am. That's what I call ruggedness. The whole concept of ruggedness, I've been going about it for years. It's really just a person who's able to. He's contradictory and doesn't really fit in, but he manages to fit in wherever he is because he has to, because he don't really have anywhere to go. I'm Nigerian, but I don't live there. I live in New York, but I'm not American. I'm not British, but I lived in England for a long time. But I can function in all those places, so it's a contradiction. And that's what my concept of ruggedness is, and that's what I inform my music with.